In the middle of the 7th century BCE, Corinth was the largest, wealthiest, and most advanced city in ancient Greece.
How did Corinth become the leading city in ancient Greece?
This question will be answered in this video. However, before that, let's examine the topography of Corinth. Ancient Corinth was situated in the northeastern corner of the Peloponnesian Peninsula on a plateau overlooking the Gulf of Corinth, where the land was fertile. South of the plateau, there was a high hill overlooking the city. To the east of the city, one could find the isthmus separating the Saronic Gulf from the Gulf of Corinth. Besides being narrow with a width of only 6 kilometers, the isthmus was flat, with its maximum elevation reaching 79 meters above sea level. And now, let's return to the year 900 BCE. In the year 900 BCE, we find a number of scattered villages on the northern terrace, with a fortress erected on the hill where the inhabitants found refuge during attacks. The city was ruled by a king from the Bacchiad family, who were the ruling Dorian clans settled in the area. During the 9th century, land trade connections began with other areas in Corinthia and Megara, and with the increase in the number of inhabitants, the villages began to unite into a city. With the beginning of the 8th century, the Corinthians began trading with other cities around the Gulf of Corinth, and Corinthian pottery and shipbuilding industry grew rapidly. The need for skilled workers drew inhabitants from all over Corinthia to Corinth, and its control expanded beyond the isthmuses to the east. In 780 BCE, Corinth established a trading post in Ithaca, which served as a safe anchorage for the exchange of goods for Corinthian ships that began to make their way to the eastern shores of the Adriatic Sea.
So Corinth began to grow and trade around the Gulf of Corinth.
Around the year 800 BCE, the Greeks began trading with the Etruscans in northern Italy. The cities that led the trade with Italy were from the Euboean cities of Chalcis and Eretria, the only Greek cities that miraculously remained unaffected during Greece's Dark Ages. In 775 BCE, Chalcis and Eretria established a trading post in Pitekussai. In this trading post, the Greeks exchanged Etruscan iron and bronze for luxury goods from the eastern Mediterranean. However, sailing to Italy from the south of the Peloponnesian Peninsula was dangerous, and passage through the Corinthian isthmus was much safer. Ships anchored in the southern harbors of the isthmus and unloaded their cargo, which was then transported to the northern side and from there, through the calm waters of the Gulf of Corinth to the shores of the Balkans, and from there to southern Italy.
So Corinth began to grow and trade around the Gulf of Corinth, and its strategic location and trade with Italy made it even more significant.
The passage of goods through the isthmus enriched the Corinthian traders, most of whom belonged to the Bacchiad clan, and in 747 BCE, about 200 Bacchiads ousted the king and established an aristocratic rule in Corinth. In order to distribute power equally among all members of the nobility, a council was formed, consisting of all the aristocrats, and the council annually elected the city's leader and the army commander. However, even under joint rule, tensions and conflicts arose among the aristocrats themselves and with the growing population of the city. The Corinthian solution to ease the burden was the establishment of colonies, where disgruntled aristocrats and residents founded new cities across the sea. In 734 BCE, Corinth established its first settlement in Corfu, which served as a very important port on the way to Italy and in trade with the Balkans. However, most of the settlements were founded in Sicily, where the land was fertile and suitable for extensive wheat cultivation. In the same year that the settlement in Corfu was founded, a Corinthian nobleman led the founding of Syracuse in the southeast of the island, and Chalcis established settlements north of Syracuse and in Rhegium in Italy, thus controlling the strait between Italy and Sicily. In 720 BCE, war broke out between Chalcis and Eretria. It is not known who won, but the war weakened both cities, and Corinth seized the opportunity to become the leading city in trade both to Italy and to the Middle East.
So, Corinth began to grow and trade around the Gulf of Corinth, and its strategic location in trade with Italy made it even more significant. The growth in trade volume through the isthmus led to the rise of the aristocracy and the establishment of settlements.
Corinth was not only a commercial center, but also a distribution hub for goods. The goods that arrived to the city were repackaged in pottery vessels and were transported both by sea to all corners of the Mediterranean and by land to all parts of the Peloponnesian Peninsula. To the southwest of the city, the Potters' Quarter was established on a well-protected hill, attracting potters from all over Greece. New molding technologies were developed in the city, and Corinth became the leading exporter of pottery in Greece. Corinth also led the Greek world in shipbuilding, and by the end of the 8th century the trireme was developed in Corinth, which became the leading ship for centuries to come. In addition to pottery and shipbuilding, Corinthian industry also included bronze processing, agricultural tools made of terracotta, textiles and cosmetics.
So, Corinth began to grow and trade around the Gulf of Corinth, and its strategic location in trade with Italy made it even more significant. The growth in trade volume through the isthmus led to the rise of the aristocracy, the establishment of settlements, and the industrial development of the city.
I see. Corinth's strategic location in the trade with Italy turned it into a large industrial city.
However, Corinth's growth created tension among the city's residents, which led to violent conflicts. That and more in our next video.